Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prophet Podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprophet.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Prophet Podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey, and today we're doing part 2 of our quarterback rankings episode. Part 1, we did 1 through 15. Today we're going to finish it up with 16. We'll go all the way through 32 here, all the starting quarterbacks, or who we think are starting quarterbacks. But before we do that, make sure you guys go check us out on Twitter at the FF Prophet or Instagram at Fantasy Football Prophet. You can check out our website, fantasyfootballprophet.com, and our YouTube page, youtube.com/fantasyfootballprophet. But we're going to jump right into the list today. Go with our 16th now ranked player, who is going to be Phillip Rivers here, Jeff. He's actually my 15th, your 17th. So we have Rivers down. I mean, I guess we're not really down on him. ADP-wise, he's going 14th out the boards. Consensus-wise, he's 16th in the ranks. People always like Phillip Rivers as this kind of normal spot. He's on a good team, but he really just hasn't been a great fantasy player. He's just a very average fantasy player. He's been the last 5 years 12th, 11th, 14th, 8th, and 11th. So he only made the top 10 once in the last 5, but he's always right there. So he's just that safe player you can get if you want to wait. I don't feel like getting Phillip Rivers anymore, though. I've talked about him before. It's always a good one you can get, but I want to take more of a chance. So that's why he's here, 16th for us. So he's actually 2 spots lower for you. I'm actually kind of surprised. I thought you were a Phillip Rivers guy.
Man, I like Phil.
He's fine, right?
And tell you the truth, if Melvin Gordon really does sit out, you could think that he might even be able to throw a few more touchdowns. But, I mean, last year, he finished, what'd you say, 8th?
Yeah.
He finished in the top 10. I think his numbers were good. I mean, 32 touchdowns, 4,300 yards. Yeah, either one of those could go up 1 or 2, but 34 is when he's topped out his entire career touchdown-wise. And, 4,700 yards is what he topped out at yardage. So he's always going to be flirting with these type of numbers. I really like Mike Williams. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, Keenan Allen's really good. Hunter Henry. There's a lot to like here. But, he's not going to run at all. And, he does throw some interceptions. He kept it relatively okay last year with 12. I mean, that's one of it's kind of on the low end for him. I mean, He's thrown 21 before, and that was only 3 years ago. So, that is his downfall, is that he can sling a few interceptions if need be. So, I like Phillip Rivers. He's not a bad quarterback by any means, but there are so many decent ones. And really, I mean, I think the tiers get so thrown together that he doesn't really excite me. And honestly, I could go probably 22 quarterbacks deep.
Yeah.
Where I'm be like, I could see myself playing them. So I think he's just a guy right now.
Yeah, that's pretty much it for me. I guess the increase I could see possibly happening, I could see it. I could see a path to him being a top 10 guy and being up there. And that's if Mike Williams makes a big jump and if Hunter Henry comes back and makes a jump as well. Yeah. Then yeah, you know what? Maybe he should be higher. I don't know if both of those will happen. I'm not quite sure how to play out, but I can see the path there. It's not something I'm going to pay for or even worry. I mean, it's just not that exciting to me. I can see it though. There's the potential there with the players around him.
I mean, sure. I mean, he did it last year. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, yeah, for some reason in my head, I just feel like his yardage isn't going to suddenly explode.
No. Yeah.
And 32 touchdowns is healthy. I mean, do I think he's going to get to 40? No, not really. So where is the upside then?
Yeah, it's hard to find it. So that's why Phillip Rivers came in 16th for us. So we'll go to 17. This is a guy. See, I have him ranked lower, but that might change. I'm probably more excited about him, and you definitely have him higher than Rivers, and that's Lamar Jackson. He's your 15th, so you have him up there quite a bit. He's my 19th. Nothing again. I don't dislike Lamar Jackson at all. He just finds himself 19. But you've moved up on Lamar a little bit here.
I did, and I think for a very similar reason, I didn't put him above Kyler Murray, but for a very similar reason why you're so high on him, and a lot of people are going to be high on another second-year quarterback, right? Josh Allen. You look at their running numbers, and you're like, man, if especially if you're in a league where throwing touchdowns are only 4 points, rushing touchdowns obviously give you two more points per pop. He was unbelievable last year, and you were doing it without him really knowing if he was going to be the starter or not. Flacco was still hanging around. He took over for him. It wasn't really built for him. And I can see I know that people are going to say, hey, the guy can't throw. He can't pass. He's going to have to run it the whole time. What if he gets injured? All very, very viable reasons why not to draft him. But when he is in there, I think his running ability is going to, keep you very happy. And I do think that they're going to implement an offense where he is able to throw it. I don't think he's going to be elite by any stretch of the imagination, but I do think he's going to improve on his numbers, and I think he's going to get to a spot where they're throwing these little checkdowns because they have a ton of tight ends that they can use now that they were, injured. Andrews was a big one. A lot of people liked him. He really showed out last year for being a young guy. I think Hayden Hurst is going to be another good one. And then, you also got Hollywood Brown, which I don't think Lamar Jackson is going to be able to have the accuracy to throw down the field, but at least they have someone that can stretch the defense a bit. So I just love his running ability. And I think if I was looking at every quarterback, he is the only one that, whenever he runs, I'm like, he's so good that I don't think that defenses can take that away. When we get down to Josh Allen, I think, I don't believe the same.
I think Lamar Jackson has a lot of potential here. And I think he's probably going to go up my draft board a little bit, a couple spots, just because the players that can rush the ball at quarterback, it's just like, it's 3 points, it feels like. You get this floor that you don't have with other guys. And Lamar Jackson's probably one of the best at it we've seen. So I like him a lot. I do think I might need to move him up slightly. I really do. I think I can see myself moving him up a couple spots from 19. But yeah, I don't know. The passing, we need to see more, but I don't even think he doesn't need a lot. He doesn't need a lot.
He just has to be okay. And really, to give you an idea, and this is why people are, they have a reason to worry about it. I mean, if you look at his passing numbers, last year he started 7 games. He completed 99 of 170 attempts, which is less than 60% completion rating, which is obviously not what you want. For 1,200 yards, 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Definitely nothing to write home about. But you could tell that he was just starting to really figure it out. But as soon as you go down and you look at his rushing numbers, if I can pull him up here real quick, and he started 7 games. I know that they used him a little bit outside of that, but, bear with me. So 7 games starting, he rushed it 147 times. For 700 yards and 5 touchdowns. That's bonkers. So say that you actually, just double that and say he actually gets to play 16 games, and we'll just give him what what he would have gotten in 14. 1,400 yards rushing with 10 touchdowns. That alone, you're like, oh my gosh, give me a break. And then say he does throw for another 15 touchdowns or so. I mean, that would be bad,
That's going to be up there.
Bad throwing numbers, and I think that is very doable.
I think so.
Yeah, he could sneak into the top 10 if he stays healthy.
Yeah, I definitely think he could. This is going to be a very interesting player. This is where I like to break my rule and draft a second quarterback, is like a Lamar Jackson type, and seeing what he could do. And I feel good about that because you're fine with a backup quarterback, but he could be really good. So,
and especially we just got done talking about the top 15. There are a few guys in there that aren't a sexy pick, and they are going to be extremely safe. I think number 15, who we left off with, Dak. Dak is hardly getting drafted either. If you really just wait until the very end, you could literally get Dak to secure your spot and then get Lamar Jackson. And then if anything happens to Lamar, you're still fine. Yeah. I mean, that's very doable.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think he's gonna be surprisingly really good. And he's just, I don't even know if it's surprising, but I need to move him up. Looking at this, he just needs to be up the board slightly. So
yeah, I think they'll figure it out. And I really think that their offense is set up for him to succeed with all those tight ends that they have.
Yeah, I think so too. And I mean, the rookie receiver, we don't know exactly what he is, but the hype isn't there for Brown for some reason, but I feel
he's on Baltimore. That's why.
Yeah, I think that's why, but he could surprise, and we might just be, why didn't we, we get to see this coming.
Yeah. And really, he is so fast that everyone fixates, throwing the ball down the field. But really, you could hit him on really quick slants. You could throw, dump off passes to him, get him in space. They could use him in an entirely different way where Lamar doesn't really have to be accurate.
Yep. All right, let's go 18. And this is going to be Kirk Cousins. And actually, we got a 3-way tie here, like 18th, 19th, 20. So we'll start with Cousins.
Okay.
He's your 18th player, my 20th. I've been thinking about Cousins a little bit lately, and maybe I'm being a little harsh on him, but I don't really know where to rank him. I do like the weapons he has, and if there's a player down here, there's a couple players down here that can move up. Cousins could jump. He could be a top 10 guy, and it wouldn't be surprising even slightly. And that's why I'm saying, like, you can take chances on quarterbacks earlier, and if you get like a Kirk Cousins later on, I think you'll be fine. He has people to throw the ball to. He could have a good running game. He just burned me last year. So he drops the 20th for me. I don't know. It's hard to forget that for some reason, but I don't know. What are you thinking about Cousins, how he's going to play?
Well, it was kind of bizarre because he finished 13th last year. And that was, and it was disappointing. But he had a solid year. I mean, he really did. They didn't get to where they wanted to be, but all his numbers improved. I mean, if I'm looking at him purely as a quarterback, even fantasy, I know he burned you because he was up and down, but I mean, he threw a ton, right? So he had 606 attempts. He completed 70% of his throws, which was the highest of his career. He had almost 4,300 yards, which is the second best yardage he's ever had, and 30 touchdowns, which is the best he's ever had, and only 10 interceptions. There wasn't anything he did poorly. He did everything well. They just didn't have the big playability. He just accumulated all these points along the way. I think that they can rectify that. And you have the players, right? Between Thielen and Diggs and now Delvin Cook, you have a lot of guys that are home run threats, especially Diggs and Delvin. So I think if they rectify that at all, I think he could even improve on these TD numbers. I really do. I think if everything went picture perfect for him, which I'm not saying it is, but he could easily be 4,500 yards with 35 touchdowns, and we're talking about him in the top 5 discussion. And that wouldn't be crazy because everything, I mean, they are a playoff caliber team. He has been in the top 10 3 other times, and he's, his relatively young career. So last year it was kind of fluky because a lot of people scored a lot as well. So he ended up 13th, but he didn't do anything poorly. He never had that big breakaway game that kind of, launched him into the top 10.
Yeah, that's where you can see it though. You can see the potential for him to do it. And yeah, he definitely can be up there.
I know we're saying that about every single person, it feels like.
That is right there why I like to wait on quarterback.
Exactly.
And even in a year where there's like a Patrick Mahomes who's great, this is why I want to wait. This is like 100% why.
I think this is a bigger question. Okay, either you go, where's the cutoff? And we could talk about this top 15.
It's coming up in a minute. Yeah.
Well, beyond, we'll get to that, like the bottom tier, like where's the cutoff where, now I'm panicking. But in the top one, like who is worth actually taking, we'll say in the top, okay, we said in the 4th round we would maybe think about Mahomes.
That's about it though. That is it.
When would you feel good about taking that second tier that we talked about, which was, was it Rodgers, Luck, and Deshaun Watson? I guess
for those players, maybe the 6th or 6th, and I don't even know if you can get them there. But that's like where it's okay. Maybe you do it there, and after that, no. After that, none of the guys I want to take. It's pretty much there, 6th or 7th.
Then are you waiting until what are you looking for? You're getting to the point where hey, you're in double digit round. And you just don't like anyone where they're falling to, and then you're like, okay, I'll take the biggest upside guy.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, and that's where I'm just going to, wait and wait and wait. Is that it's Mahomes, Luck, Rodgers, Watson, the only ones I'd even spend on. The rest, there are a lot of guys that can be up there.
And a big one, too, because I think, a few people will say, wow, he really has like Lamar Jackson high because, I had him, 15th? So when you get down this much, I did start putting guys that had higher ceilings a little bit more than maybe they'll finish. But I think at this point, that's what you have to do when you're getting down to this level, because I think everyone is just the same at this point.
They really are. So let's go 19 here. Mitch Trubisky, my 18th year, 20th. I'm actually higher on Trubisky.
I'm
than
actually
you.
really surprised.
That's shocking.
Yeah.
How'd that happen? But
I don't know. There's just so many guys that he just kind of, he fades away. I think he does have upside. I really do. I think he showed a lot last year, even though he wasn't, the best quarterback. But he was surprisingly good for a stretch of games before he got hurt.
He's a guy who has a lot of potential. Again, like we say, there's so many of them, but he could jump up and be a top 10 guy. And at no point would you be surprised about it. You wouldn't be surprised even slightly that he made it up there. And that's again, the quarterback position is so deep because of that. You just keep waiting and waiting and waiting. And why not? So Trubisky, I don't have much to say. I think he can be good. He has a lot of weapons around him.
I mean, he finished 15th and he missed 2 games. So once again, it was just that one of those borderline guys.
Yep. Next guy, Tom Brady. So this was Cousins, Trubisky, and Brady all kind of tied in our ranks. Brady, I have 17th. You dropped them to 21st. And again, he's
just a guy,
but he's 42 years old. Like, I mean, right? Like, he can't be a fantasy star, can he?
I mean, honestly, he could,
but he could be.
My thought is he just doesn't need to be. So I feel like the other thing that I have to look for here is like people that have to prove themselves. Tom Brady doesn't have to prove jack, what to anyone. And, if they can really run it down everyone's throats and still get in the playoffs, I think that's what they're going to do. So I just have no idea what they actually want to accomplish this year.
There's no Gronk. That's a big.
That hurts, without a doubt.
Yeah.
We don't know what N'Keal Harry is going to be.
Yep.
You still have Edelman. I mean, it's whatever, and he can still throw to James White. There's possibility that Tom Brady is a top, once again, could be flirting with the top 10. But
or you just wait and wait and wait and wait and wait, and you get to the last round and you pick Tom Brady.
Sure.
Do it.
And if he turns out to be, the Tom Brady of old, or they decide to just throw a million times because, the Patriots say, we're going to do whatever we want, like they do so many times, great. Awesome. I just, first of all, I don't think I'm that much lower, and I don't think anyone has him that high. So you can take him whenever you want.
Brady right now is 21st in consensus, and he's going off the board, but he's going off the board at 13.
What? Is that really?
Yeah.
Wow, the name is really carrying still.
Yeah, he's going off so you probably won't get him, but
yeah,
that's fine.
But I mean, 4,300 yards, 29 touchdowns last year. What did he finish? In fantasy, he finished 14th. So, I think people make it sound worse than it really was.
It's just.
But do you really expect anything different this year? I mean, 21 or whatever, having him at 20. Yeah, it probably is low, but I just don't see why they would throw it that much. Yep. I think that is probably more akin.
Yep.
But whatever.
All right, so now we're going to get to a lot of guys where our analysis is probably just going to be, again, more just, we don't know. Because that's why they're ranked in the 20s. So there's a lot of stuff where it's so many question marks. There's hard to see a path. I will say there's still a couple guys here, like this guy, right? Jimmy Garoppolo is 21st. He's one that, yes, if he became a top 10 quarterback, it wouldn't shock me because he had that potential before his injury. So he's 21st for me, 19th for you. This is a spot where we really, really don't know what to expect. There is potential, yes. And again, get him that's why you can take these chances on the earlier guys. Like you can jump Kyler Murray way up there and take a chance on him. Because if he doesn't pan out, you can get one of these guys. You can get Cousins, Trubisky, Brady, Garoppolo, who won't be drafted in a lot of leagues, which is weird to say. But you can get those. You can get those guys. And Garoppolo, who knows?
No, and that's the thing. No one knows. I will say this: the yardage that he put up in the very few games that he was playing in both seasons, 2017 and 18, it looked good. I mean, I think he looked the part, and I think he'll probably be a good quarterback for the 49ers. But I have a harder time envisioning his upside and throwing a ton of touchdowns in that offense. I think that he will put up, once again, I think he's going to be one of these guys. He's just going to be lost in the mix. I like the young crew that they have there. They have a ton of people running the ball. Yeah. They have Pettis, which I really like. They have Kittle.
They have a lot of good young receivers that it's hard to know what they're going to be. And there's a lot of potential there. And that's why it's...
I just laugh how reactionary people are, though, because he was getting drafted in the top 10 just a year ago before he got hurt, and now he's he's off the radar. Which we were already low on him before.
We weren't on it last year. We didn't believe it, but who knows what it would have been before the injury.
He was going to be a bust candidate just because he was going just outrageously high.
Yep. Yeah, he was, and hey, if he becomes the player he had a chance to be a couple years ago, this is a good pick. You're going to get him at a good spot. And all right, I'll go number 22. This is who we both had number 22. This is a player who, from weeks 9 through 17, was the second best quarterback in fantasy football. That's Josh Allen. Why do we rank him 22 then?
Well, I don't believe in him near as. I think you do actually have some interest in him.
I have some interest. I just don't. I mean, it was weird. How was he the second best? And he wasn't really throwing the ball well. It was all that rushing, which doesn't feel real. I mean, I don't feel like it's real.
That's my whole knock against him. Everyone gave him. I get it. It was really impressive. He's way more of an athlete than I thought, but I just can't imagine a world where he is able to replicate what he was able to do in just. I mean, how many games did he even play? Was it 12 games? And he had 631 yards, and you're just like, and 8 touchdowns along with that. Even if he played a full 16 games and maybe the yardage, but I can't imagine he would have 8 touchdowns. Some of these runs that he had were just, they're phenomenal. He looked like Michael Vick out there or something.
Yeah, it was crazy.
But I don't think he's going to be able to keep that up. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like he was just running for his life. They couldn't run the ball at all. I think that they will, I don't know if McCoy is going to have like a resurrection from what he was. But they do have Gore, and then Singletary is supposed to be the real deal, supposedly. They're going to try to figure out whether or not he can be an RB1 as, McCoy and Gore kind of go off into the sunset. So I think they're going to try to correct the ship a little bit. And also, I don't think I didn't like Josh Allen coming in, so I think I'm biased, right?
Yeah,
because I don't think he's a good passer. I don't think he's going to be able to pass well in the NFL. And I don't think he's going to be able to keep these numbers up either, but if he's not a passer, he's going to keep running. So maybe I'm wrong on him. I just have no feel for him, and I would much rather get one of the other guys that can run if that's really what I'm going after.
It just doesn't feel real what he did at the end of last year. It doesn't feel real. And you know what? If we're wrong, we're wrong. That's perfectly fine. No problem with that. But you don't have to be wrong and have it affect you, because this is again why I kind of like the getting the backup quarterback thing this year, which I've never been a fan of before. But why not? If he becomes something, if last year was somewhat true, you got a guy here for nothing at the end of your draft that all of a sudden pulls something off and becomes a top player again. I don't see it happening, but this is the first year where I see potential in players that makes it worth actually making a pick of these guys, which is crazy to me, but yeah, you can actually do it.
Yeah. And also, I just want to point out the end of the year, especially when he was just rushing like crazy. I mean, 4 out of the last 6 games, he had 95 yards or more. And in those games, he scored 4 touchdowns rushing. Oh, I'm sorry, 5 touchdowns rushing. And on top of that, but he did it against, 2 of them were against Miami and 1 was against the Jets. Like,
it's not real. It can't be real.
I don't think it is. Like I said, I know a lot of people are going to be high on him because you look at those types of numbers and you want to give him the benefit of the doubt because you're like, oh man, if I can, you're going for nothing. I can put him on my bench and find out. And if you really wanted to, if that was, he was the number 2 quarterback and you're like, let's just find out. And in 2 weeks, if he really sucks, then I can throw him away and grab someone else. I'm not necessarily against that. But I just feel like there's other guys that I would rather try out.
I kind of like him as a second quarterback. I just have this weird, but we ranked him the exact same. It's just kind of funny. There's something intriguing yet. I don't believe it. I don't really buy it, but there's just something intriguing that maybe.
And he did, in my mind, I think in my rankings, so if he's 22, that's 22. 22 quarterbacks, he was the last one where if I had to play him, I could see a world where I'm like, okay,
I was just about to say that.
Figure it out.
I was just about to say, right now is where we start going. We just start rolling through these because this is a boring stretch for me.
And after this, it really does drop off in my mind.
Yeah, this is where the drop off happens. So I'm honestly, we're not going to spend a lot of time on this because I'm going to bore myself talking about some of these guys. Derek Carr is 23rd. He's 24th for me, 23rd for you.
Talk about the fall from grace, man.
He would. I guess the one potential we have is maybe Antonio Brown makes him something. So yes, there's still something there. Okay, possibly. Just not seeing it right now. Matthew Stafford's 24, 23 for me, 24 for you. So we just see Stafford and Carr as the same player. And that's a really big disappointment being a Lions fan to say this. And maybe, I mean, we've heard he was hurt last year, so maybe that was part of it. But you know what? Unless Stafford was out chucking the ball around 600 times to Calvin Johnson, he's just not a fantasy player right now. And I'm not sure how good of an NFL quarterback he is, honestly. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong on this, but fantasy-wise, I have no need to draft him. I don't see them being a big passing offense anyway, which really hurts. I hate to see it because I want to see Kenny Galladay be a really good player, and I just don't know if it's going to happen. 25, Andy Dalton. 25th for me, 26th for you. I think the ship has sailed on Andy Dalton becoming anything. He had that like brief like moment a couple years ago in fantasy.
I know people are going to say, hey, AJ Green is healthy. And, we wonder about John Ross. I have no interest in Dalton whatsoever. I mean, that's why he's this far down. I don't know. In what world are you starting him? I literally cannot think of a time where I'm going to be like, you know what? Andy Dalton is
not even on a bye week.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
just not going to happen.
I can't imagine not being able to find someone that I'm more interested in.
No, I can't at all.
I'm starting to feel like I'm talking like a dating site or something.
Right.
He just,
we're really going to roll through these here to end this. Sam Darnold, 26. Now this is the one that, he's still in second year. There could be a jump because he has Le'Veon Bell. He has Robbie Anderson at wide receiver. He's 26 for me, 25th for you. So I guess if there's anybody down here, Sam Darnold, he could make a second year leap, and that's for sure good, very good possibility. I mean, it really depends on Bell. Bell could change things for him. I just don't know what Bell's going to be. I don't have a clue right now. And so because of that, he's just not a guy I'm going to draft. There's no need to draft Sam Darnold whatsoever. And I mean, it's just no need to put him on your team. If he becomes anything, we'll find out in a couple of weeks and you pick him up on waivers. I honestly don't really see it happening this year, though. I just don't think that team's good enough. And
I agree. I don't think he would be able to make a big enough jump. And I'm pulling for him. I really am. I think that he does have the capability of becoming at least a decent NFL quarterback. But I'm not a huge.
It's a complete guessing
guy
game
this year.
It's a complete guessing game down here if he makes a jump or if he doesn't.
And you look at his numbers. I mean, he would have to make a giant jump in order to become
And I think he'll be better.
relevant.
I think he'll be better. It's just I'm not gonna play do anything with fantasy. 27th, who was each of our 27th players, Nick Foles. Nothing against Nick Foles. I just don't think he's average. Who's he going to throw the ball to there? They have a million of the same guy.
Yeah. I was going to say, pick one of the 20 wide receivers.
I mean, I still like D.D. Westbrook, but I mean, not that much, I guess. What are they going to do there? I just don't buy that offense. Even with it, it's Nick Foles. I don't think he was never great. He was always fine. He was an okay player.
Yeah, I mean, he did have a very good fantasy year before. Where he had that freakish, 30 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, whatever. Maybe he actually has that magic in him, and I'm just not seeing it. But I just don't see a whole lot of upside, and it's not really the game that the Jaguars play.
No, he's completely undraftable. No need. Now Marcus Mariota is our 28th player. Each of our 28th player comes in 28th. You're done, right? You're just done?
I've been done. I'm done. Done on this
Can
guy.
you see the potential leap if you get a Corey Davis that becomes a star, if A.J. Brown's really good?
I think A.J. Brown is a good rookie.
But do you think Mariota's just killing it? Maybe Mariota's what has killed Corey Davis.
100%. If you look at Corey Davis's numbers, in spite of Mariota, he has actually been okay. I think with a different quarterback, Corey Davis would be a star in the league.
It sucks that we just don't know what he was going to be. And Mariota, I thought he was going to be a fantasy player. I thought 2 years ago, I really thought the leap was happening.
Well, and that's an interesting one too, because you thought that he would be able to run and throw, and he'd be a dual combo, which is, makes me worried about like the Kyler Murray thing.
Yeah. I mean,
because he's had all the chances in the world. He just not the guy.
And well, now he will be after we said that, right? No, probably not.
That would be hilarious.
29th is Joe Flacco.
Now it gets exciting again. Joe is one of my favorite players.
No, I can't. I was going to try to say like maybe he could be good.
Yeah.
I mean, he's throwing the ball to Emmanuel Sanders, who's kind of done probably. I like the Cortland Sutton, Deshaun Hamilton potential, but maybe if Flacco has one more year in him to do it. Maybe to do something. I mean, to just be okay. Joe Flacco will be good enough to keep at least a couple players relevant, right? Is that where we're at? He's just good enough to keep some guys relevant.
Well, I think Cortland Sutton will be an interesting player. You have Philip Lindsay, but let's just get it out of the way. He hasn't been relevant for the past 4 years, right? Mm-hmm. And even before that, he had 1 year where you're kind of like, oh, maybe he's going to be something. That was his third year in the league in 2010 when he finished 11th. After that, it was 16th, 14th, 19th, 13th, and then he fell off completely.
Yep.
And that was before last year. Obviously, he got taken over, and I'm not even counting that, which he was 32nd.
Next guy is Dwayne Haskins, who we think should be this. We think he'll end up being a starter in Washington. Maybe if he's not, doesn't really matter. Case Keenum is, I think, the other guy there, right? Is Case Keenum there?
Yeah, Case Keenum. Yeah,
he's not any good either. So Haskins, I don't know where to rank him. I don't know what to do with him. This could be a guy who really is a lot better than we think. If anything, there's a chance here. Obviously, he's a first round draft pick.
Maybe I'm higher on him because I thought that he was kind of underrated coming out of college. I don't know why everyone has such a hard time believing that he can be an NFL quarterback. The fact that the Giants passed up on him just boggles my mind. I think he's really good, and I think he could be a very, very interesting quarterback. I don't know how his first years are going to go, right? You could go Case Keenum for the first 5 games or something.
I don't think he has any weapons.
Once again, I don't know. There's a bunch of guys that haven't really shown up. So, yeah, he might have no one.
Yeah, that's pretty much
He might not, but I really do think that he could be a very good quarterback in the NFL. I'm just hoping that they don't kill his career like they did to so many other people.
31st for us is Eli Manning.
Okay.
He has no Odell Beckham, so you are done, Eli.
Yeah, there's
completely done.
Absolutely no reason to ever draft Eli anymore.
There's even no reason for the Giants to play him. Just throw Daniel Jones out there and see what he is. They won't do it. They're not going to do it. But
I don't know, man. Well, you get a couple of losses under your belt.
Just come on, it's done.
Dude,
it's been
York,
done.
Man.
It's been done.
I don't care how many titles you won. You're in New York. They will be calling for your head.
God, that's why I'm so excited about Odell Beckham. Is he's away from that?
Yeah. Can you imagine? The only reason he had to make all those spectacular catches is because it was just a jump ball from Eli. Not to come down on him, but yeah, kind of. He's just too far into his career. There was a moment where he was a good quarterback. He just held on for too long. He just doesn't have the arm strength anymore.
No, he can't do it. He just can't do it anymore. And then our final player, 32nd, Ryan Fitzpatrick is our 32nd. So we're just put him there ahead of Rosen right now. Who knows who's going to start? Fitzpatrick, he would probably be higher if we actually knew he was the starter.
If they didn't have Rosen, he would be an intriguing one. Maybe he'll be every once in a while, a streamer, if you will, because you saw he couldn't put up numbers. He will throw it up there, and sometimes he will throw 5 picks, but he'll keep chucking it.
And yeah, he will. And this is I don't know who's going to start there. So
I can't imagine a world where Fitzpatrick plays an entire season.
I can't really either.
Because otherwise, why did you get Rosen?
He won't. They have to try it. They have to see what he can do.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. That does it for quarterback ranks there. We sped through the end there because who cares? So we'll be next week. We'll go running backs. A lot more excitement with the running back position. A lot more, quarterback's pretty straightforward. It is what it is. Running backs will be a little more interesting. We'll go through that next week. Talk to you guys then.